if you find a job that's going to be better hours for you and pay you more money and you give you a better quality of life and you don't take it, I'll fire you.
Right.
Because I don't want idiots working for me. You're an idiot if you don't take that job. I used to run a 24-hour warehouse with buildings all over the place, right?
Yeah.
And at a moment's notice, I'd have to go flying in. If I got to answer my phone at 8:30 on a Wednesday, boo-hoo, right? It's not a big deal, you know?
Right. Today, we want to welcome our special guest, to our top Rising Stars podcast here, Rising Stars YouTube channel. We'll put a video out there, but I always like to invite people in, that are standing out, doing things different, taking it to the next level. You caught my attention. I noticed that you were doing a podcast with your wife. I want to talk about that a little bit.
Sure, yeah.
Talk about some of your real estate business, but most of all, your journey leading up to that. So we got my friend Gerrard Bullock here today, and rock star realtor, but most of all, father, husband, friend.
There we go.
Tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Father, husband, friend, right? So yeah, it's the same thing. So so Gerrard Bullock, they say work with Compass Real Estate right now, but really I just kind of I just put food on the table, right?
Yeah.
So real estate's a big part of that. But really, I have a background in distribution, logistics, supply chain.
Wow.
That's my whole background. So kind of did that for 23 years, leading up to getting into real estate. And back in 2017 or so, December, when I had got my real estate license, and then quit my job in 2018.
Yeah.
And then started full time in 2019 as a realtor. So
wow, he's got that baby face. You wouldn't think it, right? Did you go to Austin P?
I didn't go.
You didn't?
My son.
Your son does. That's what I saw.
My son did. Yeah.
Okay.
So he was at Austin P. He played. His journey too, right? So he was quarterback at Innsworth High School. Graduated in 2020. Was class president, all this stuff, right? So he gets out of school, goes to the University of Dayton to play football.
Yeah.
Then this thing called COVID happened and kind of shut everything down. They didn't play their fall season or their spring season. Coach was, wanted to kind of move him around a little bit. And he was like, well, we haven't even played a game. I don't even know if we're going to play. So he enters the transfer portal, which is a great thing for kids. And ends up at Austin P.
Okay.
Was there for about a year and a half, backed up at quarterback his first year.
Yep.
They moved him to tight end last year.
Okay.
Then he came to us and said, hey, I really don't like it here right now. I was like, well, man, what are you going to do? Like, if you complain about it and you accept it, then I don't want to hear it. If you don't make any changes about it. So he entered the portal again because he was like, look, I want to go to school in Nashville. And was trying to go to Vanderbilt, but had too many credits to go to Vanderbilt because you have to have more credits than not from a Vanderbilt to get a Vanderbilt degree.
Okay.
Or that would have been adding another year, and somebody would have to pay for that.
Makes
right?
sense.
Not me.
Yeah.
So Eddie George calls, and he ends up at TSU. So he's at TSU now playing tight end. Yep. So he's on my team too. So he's on a real estate team.
Nice.
He's out. That. Yeah, we got. He's going to get on some scripts today, make some calls, some cold calling.
Good.
Good old stuff, right?
Yeah, man.
So he's going to do that. So yeah, he's there at Austin P. He was at Austin P. Now he's at TSU.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't planning on talking about this, but since you bring it up, we were just talking about this yesterday at my team meeting. Everything in life, at a high level is a scripted process. Like your son playing football, like those plays that he practices are scripted process, right? And, waiting tables, when the person comes up, it's a scripted process. When the order goes in the back, it's a scripted recipe. But I was telling him mortgages and real estate are the only field with super high, earning income potential and a lot of money involved that we don't think that we have to have a scripted process.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm glad to hear you say that, because if your son learns a scripted process, especially one that's been proven, tried and true, he will be a rock star.
Oh, yeah.
Because people don't do that in our business.
Well, it's not even our business. For me, I don't look at anything okay, this is the real estate business, but I'm a supply chain guy.
Yeah.
Distribution.
Yeah.
Everything you do is a scripted process.
Right.
From how many times you pick an order to how you put something away. So basically, your job as a distribution supply chain leader is to create scripted processes so that people can be interchangeable in and out of the job.
Right.
There's no thinking. This is what we're doing.
Not room for people to be like, I'm going to put my flavor on it.
Nah, we're not doing that. We don't want none of that, right? We want this like this, right? So in real estate, I kind of look at it the same way. It's like, okay, we get a lead. Here's the playbook. You go through this, and here's the email. This is what they get. but it's just like waiting tables, right? It's like you may be bringing the drinks to this table while you're picking up this person's food and this person's getting their check. So you're running the scripts at all times. The same thing in real estate. You might be prospecting on, trying to get a client, but you got a home inspection, you're negotiating repairs, and you got to go to closing.
Right.
So it's the same script. It's just where are you in the script on whatever piece of the process you're in. So anything business-wise, in my opinion, you got to have a script, you got to have a process, you got to run a play. There can't be this where you just show up and we're just going to wing it, right? No. It doesn't work like that.
It's interesting you say that because now I've thought about this, but not really in this way. But I grew up on a dairy farm in Vermont. There was 900 head of cow we would milk every day, morning and evening. It was a big operation. Nobody just went in there and said, we're just going to do it this way today.
Right.
The cows that had medicine in them, they had to be marked. If they got in there and got milked and it got in with all the other, it literally was a tanker truck of milk every day that would leave. Then I went to school for engineering, and it was like engineering was like, hey, this. Then I got in mortgages and real estate, and I saw everybody was kind of just winging it.
Right.
And so I think that's why I've been, semi-successful. Like I've said, I can take this complex process and make it easy.
Sure.
Right. Like I was telling a realtor this the other day, I said, there's a book the Ritz-Carlton company puts out, and they make all their employees read. There's actually a leadership academy that you can go to. It's $15,000 to go. But they teach people on the staff that one of the most powerful things they can say is the 5 words. You are important to me.
Yeah.
So as simple as that is, I told this realtor the other day, I said, imagine if you were at the buyer's presentation and that was in your process. It reminded you to say that to the clients. Do you think that would change the relationship?
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
But we don't do it because we forget, because we don't have the scripted process in front of us.
Or we don't even have a buyer's consultation.
Or we don't even have it.
Run around and show property, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's another story.
Did you ever have a boss that told you about an elevator speech and you got to have your elevator speech?
Not really the elevator speech. So what I learned is I had a boss, and that kind of goes to what going back to my past is I've had a lot of bosses. I didn't get like, this is how you do it. I've learned a lot by having good bosses, but I've learned a lot by having really bad bosses. Those are I learned more from them. Yeah. So for me, it's like, you got to know your worth. You got to know, what is your platform you're standing on? So that to me is the same as what is your elevator speech in like the real estate side, right?
Right.
So like, because, I'm used to getting up in front of the distribution center of 4,000 people.
Dang.
And knowing that there's people going to throw tomatoes at me. Right. That's okay. So what am I standing on? What am I saying? How am I going to get people to follow me, right? So it's the same thing kind of like in real estate is like, what are your principles you're standing on, and what are you going to do for me, right?
Right.
Like, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I told my daughter the other night, I said, you're always being interviewed. When you're going to this theatrical part, you're being interviewed. You're being interviewed when you walk in. You're being interviewed by your high fives. You're being interviewed by the smile on your face. Because if you're being interviewed and you can present yourself well, certainty wins.
Yeah. Like
you will get really, really far. That's one of the things I took away from watching your son, and some of the things I've seen you post is he seems like a confident young man. And let's talk about that a little bit, because it seems like society right now is trying to tell men not to be confident.
Yeah. From what I see too, it's the same thing. But the thing is you gotta, it's always been the thing that's propelled us is to be confident. And even if you don't know, even if you're not confident, it's funny you say that, because a lot of times you're projecting yourself as confident, but you're scared to death.
Right. Yeah.
But the thing is most people aren't going to do the thing that you're doing, so they're not even going to challenge you on it.
Right.
And the people that are going to trash you on it, they don't like you anyway, so it doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? So it's okay. So yeah, I try to teach. Well, I don't really. I guess I'm by example, right? It's just kind of like you said, you're always being interviewed.
Yeah.
And it's actually funny, man. On my phone right now, I have a picture, right? This is kid right
Look
here.
at him. Look at him.
This is when he's in the 9th grade, right?
Yeah.
And he's number 41, okay? You play quarterback. What quarterback do you know that worth 41? Nobody, right?
Right.
So what happened was he's being interviewed. Little frail kid comes in. Hey, I play quarterback. They said, okay, cool. Here's number 41, right? Well, after 4 years or so, he leads the school in all passing touchdowns.
Let's go.
13, right? So the thing is what I say all that to say is you're always being interviewed, right? And people are going to second guess you, and sometimes they're going to sell you short, right? So you got to come in all the time, well prepared, ready to go, because people, a lot of times they're not going to think much of you. Here's another, guy doing whatever. But you come in and you set the expectation, blows them right away, because a lot of people's expectations are usually low. Yeah. So if you come in and over deliver, then that's how you win it.
I'm so passionate about this that I'm teaching. I'm doing 2 luncheons this month for realtors. I'm going to pay for the lunch, sit down lunch, everything, and I'm going to teach them this scripted, the importance of having this scripted process, because I think about it I don't know everything that y'all know as real estate agents. I know just enough to be dangerous, but I know one thing. I know how to present myself, and I know that I see one of the biggest areas of weaknesses in those first 2 steps of the sale, which is, initial contact and rapport. You probably played some football too, right?
A little bit, not much. Not like these kids, not like my kids.
But it was about initial contact.
Yeah.
So first I just see realtors and lenders don't make enough initial contact. And then they certainly don't build rapport. They go straight to the step 4, which is the close, right? So you've done really well for yourself since you've been in real estate. You present yourself well. You have a couple of niches that you operate in. I know you do some construction, some investment stuff, some residential stuff. Let's talk about your journey into real estate. How in the heck did you go from logistics into real estate?
It's funny. So it's where I'm like you said, father, right, husband. So it's about the kids. So what happened with me was 23 years corporate America. I had no intention of ever doing anything else. My goal was to be the chief operating officer at Under Armour. As my last job is where I was, right? Well, I worked at UPS for about 14 years. I ran all of logistics for Maryland and DC. I started off unloading trucks and kind of worked my way up to that. Never missed a day of work for 14 years.
Wow.
I called out one time, and my boss was like, "You're coming to work," and I said, "Okay." So that was
wow, 14 years.
Yeah, 14 years. And then I got to Under Armour, kind of helped them out with their distribution and their logistics. And they're a Baltimore-based company. Okay. So I was in Baltimore, and I helped open their California warehouse and then their Toronto warehouse. And then we were looking to open a warehouse in Middle Tennessee. And they were like, "Why don't you just move here?" I was like, "I'm not moving to Nashville, Tennessee. I'm a Titans fan, but other than that, there's nothing in Nashville." Yeah. So after about a couple months of traveling here 3 and 4 days a week, I was in the hotel looking out in Mount Juliet, looking at the mall. And I called my wife and I was like, "Hey, look, I can't do this no more. I'm tired of flying back and forth here all the time. I think we need to look at moving to Tennessee." And she's like, "I'm moving to Nashville." Same result, right? Yeah. Brought her down, man. Mother's Day weekend, this weekend coming up.
Wow.
Right. Brought her down. My mom did the Broadway, right? We had to do that, right? So then we sat at the Target and the Walmart and just see, hey, let's just look around. Can we move here? That's pretty normal. It's pretty cool. Let's do it. So we packed up and moved to Baltimore. Moved from Baltimore to Mount Juliet.
Okay.
So I'm running that distribution center out there in Mount Juliet.
Yeah.
And my wife got really smart, and she used to watch kids back in Maryland when we were there. She had a little home daycare because we started off, with 2 kids at very early, and she was watching kids at home, so she got really into childcare.
Okay. So
the plan here was move here. She's not going to work. Get the kids situated. Well, then we had to drop our kids off at a parent teacher conference.
Okay.
And no kids allowed. You got to. It's just with the parents. And we have no family here. So my wife Googles a drop-in hourly daycare and finds one. We drop our kids off one in Nashville. We walk out of there and she goes, "I'm opening one of these in Mount Juliet." And I was like, all right, whatever. So then I guess 2 months later, we're signing a lease.
Yeah.
We're getting a little spot, 1,500 square feet in the middle of Mount Juliet, 7.5 years ago. So she gets set. So she's working for herself, right?
Yeah.
Right. Our own boss, control her hours. Now she's working 18 hours a day trying to get this joker off the ground, right? Okay, yep. That's what you got to do, man. Roll up the sleeves, right?
Sure.
So she's doing that. My kids at the time were in high school, middle school, high school, getting ready to go into college. We got visits coming up. We got, my daughter runs track at Oregon and my son's at TSU. So we had we were visiting all over the place.
Right.
So I was like, man, I'm tired of And what was happening was I'd pull up to the kids' game like 6 minutes into the first quarter or something, two wheels. And, I'm coming in with from work and everybody's kind of sitting there. And I'm like, man, I can't be doing this every day. Yeah. So I asked them, I was like, just start asking people, man, what do you do for a living? Oh man, I own a couple apartment buildings. I own a car wash. And I'm like, you don't do nothing. You do like 7 things, right? So then I was at a parent gathering and this guy, Gavin Ivester. Gavin, if you're listening, I love you. You know it. So we're at this thing getting cookies and, it's a parent gathering where the parents kind of get together. And he's like, how's the job going? I said, man, I'm done. I'm ready to just be done. He said, why don't you be a banker? I was like, banker? So I'm not a banker. He goes, man, you're a good guy, relationship guy. You can kind of put some stuff together. And then I was like, man, I don't know about that. And my wife had already been talking about me getting my real estate license. So then he goes, why don't you just get your real estate license? And he walks away. I was like, all right. So I go home, Google it, how to get your real estate license. And I was like, that's cool. I said, I don't know how you make money doing that because when do you get paid? I had no idea of commissions or anything. I'm like, they can't make that much money doing that. How am I supposed to feed my family?
Right.
So I got my license and then was doing that a little bit as I was still director of operations at Under Armour. Okay. And then I sold 2 houses, right? So I wasn't really working, right? I had my license, right? And then I was like, you know what? I can see there is a way to make money doing this. So I kind of put some money aside in October 2018, said, all right, we're just going to do this. Wow. And just started doing it. So 20 years and a substantial income and, good, stable 40 hours, knew what 60 hours. Yeah. 60 hours. Yeah. But the sacrifice of showing up late or not being able to go to something, not being fully present, things like that, it's been worth all of it now, right? Definitely. And it is. My kids do understand. People will say, well, you have to set limits on your clients, Gerrard, and you can't talk to them after this. I used to run a 24-hour warehouse with buildings all over the place, right? Yeah. And at a moment's notice, I'd have to go flying in. If I got to answer my phone at 8:30 on a Wednesday, boo-hoo. Right. It's not a big deal, Right. I'm still there. The kids know that, hey, this is how we're able to do some of the things we do. So I'm going to be there. I'm going to be present. Right. But daddy's going to answer the phone and send some emails every now and then. Right. While we're at the beach. So pick your poison. Right. Yeah. If that's the thing. You got to have that perspective. If you're at the beach and you're able to pick up the phone and help somebody and, still make a little money, win all the way around, I don't think I'll ever lose that hustle. I hustle probably just as hard, if not harder now than I did in the beginning. And, if I'm sitting there and I've got, 5 minutes to talk to a client and, have a call with them and, get them started, great. We still offer 7 days a week, 364. Mm-hmm. So because people are looking at houses on the weekends, sure. Now, am I going to answer the phone at 9:30 at night or 8:30 at night all the time? Probably not. No. But we have people in place. You have a team. I do. Started a team. We just started a team about a year ago. You got a couple of people on there. Mm-hmm. So 5 of us total. Okay. So buyer's agent, some assistant. So I got an assistant and then, she's my director of ops, right? So she does everything, my marketing, because we're going to grow. So right now, you know how it is when you start anything, you have to wear multiple hats when you first get started. And then as you scale, that's when you can kind of spread and separate and assign more responsibility, things like that. So so right now the agents though are they will take buyers, but they'll take listings too. We'll just co-list them together. So my thought is, and I was a broker of my old firm, so I ran a brokerage for a while. Okay. And my thought is provide as much service as possible to the agents. Right. And I tell them all the time, hey, 2.5, 3 years, that's all you're going to be here, unless you choose to be, because you're going to grow to a point where I may not be able to help you anymore. And then that's okay. Go fly away. Right. And they'll have somebody else. Sure. This is what this is about. So we don't want this thing because I notice in this industry, which I'm fairly new to, it's there's a death march when somebody wants to leave. It's so crazy. Oh, it's the craziest thing ever. So I used to, man. If you could change it, let me know. Here's the deal, man. So even in the warehouse world, right, I'd sit down in my office, right, and then some senior manager or whatever would come in and be like, Gerrard, I think about this. I got another opportunity. And I'm like, hey, man, if you find a job that's going to be better hours for you and pay you more money and it give you a better quality of life, and you don't take it, I'll fire you.
Right.
Because I don't want idiots working for me. You're an idiot if you don't take that job. So I used to tell them all the time, like, look, you're an idiot. So look, here's the deal. If you get that opportunity, cool.
Yeah.
Let me know.
Yeah.
Just help me train the next person. We'll get you a cake and a balloon.
Right.
And we'll be friends. You know,
Right,
it's cool,
right.
man. It's okay. You're gonna grow out of this role.
Don't need to get all up in our feels.
Nah,
all the
man.
time,
It's
you
just
know?
you get mad at somebody because so my thing is like just pour into the agents, give them as much responsibility on the listing and the buyer side as possible.
Yes.
And then if they feel like they are ready to move on to the next step, as long as I provide, hey, have I done everything that I said I was going to do? Yeah. Did I provide everything that would Gerrard, this isn't a fit anymore? Okay, it's cool.
There's seasons for everything.
It's seasons for everything. And I don't want to be holding nobody back. So.
I've had over 50 employees, so I have my own team that serves me and my clients and our real estate agents we work with. Our realtors are our number one client. And I don't mean that like if you're a client, you hear that. We serve the client at the highest level.
Yeah.
But we're not confused that our number one client is the real estate agent. So whatever we have to do to help you guys win, which means the clients will win. And then I have loan officers here doing the same thing, building their business. I got 5 here right now that are building their business. And, it's being a manager and being a leader or coach is completely different than being a sales rock star, isn't it?
Totally different, man.
I mean, you can go out there and just do your thing and be a sales rock star and do amazing. But when you start bringing in and scaling a team, like I think that a team, there's a lot of misconceptions around it, but I think a team gives a higher level of service. It serves the client at the right. It's just a lot of bad programming because so many people have done it the wrong way. Don't you agree?
I mean, I don't know how they've done it, but I can see how like you can run a team. If you can coach, if you can lead, you can manage, you can run anything. You don't even have to be a true. You can have knowledge of the process, but as long as you're able to lead and develop and put people in place to do what they're supposed to do, you're gonna be fine. And just lean into that and don't be afraid that they're going to know more because they are going to know more than you. They do it every day, right? So it's a total. I tell my wife all the time. It's like, look, you gotta lean into the team. And we always complain. This is what we talk about on our thing all the time. It's like, look, you got to be able to leverage who you have to see the things that you don't. You have to know what you're not good at.
Right, yeah.
Right? Like I can't sit and look at spreadsheets. That's not my thing, man.
No way.
But
no way.
If you find somebody that's good at it, we're going to do it all day.
Attention to detail, like sometimes the crossing the T's, dotting the I's, that's not my strong
Not
suit.
my thing, man.
No.
I'll send out bad posts all the time. And then somebody will be like, hey, man, you just misspelled like 6 things. Because I'm like, send. You know what I mean? I'm like,
So, question, honest answer is, do you think that a coach in real estate or mortgages needs to also be somebody who currently produces, or do you feel like people can have a good coach in real estate and mortgages that maybe hasn't sold real estate for a while?
I think that they could totally be effective in it. Like look at the NFL when half those dudes have never put on a helmet in their life, those head coaches.
It's a good point. Really,
I mean,
good
think
point.
about it. I mean, if you can...
Andy Reid?
Andy Reid.
Wait, maybe he played.
Maybe he played
He's
like with
guy.
a helmet with like one of the bar, you know what I mean?
Or who's the little skinny Miami Dolphins guy?
That dude ain't playing no football.
No
right?
way.
You know what I mean? So, nah, man, you can totally like, and I see all these people like bash these guys that are like, oh, he's never sold a house. He's going to tell people. Well, man, he probably can't, but he at least knows, he knows accountability. He knows the best practices and he knows how to get the best out of people.
Right.
You don't have to be like, even running a warehouse. I've never run a receiving dock in my life.
Right.
I have never run a pick module in my life.
Right.
But I always have a good dude that can.
Yeah.
And I know the metrics and what needs to be done to run a receiving dock or a pick module.
Right.
So I put those people in place, look at the scoreboard or the dashboard of like what are making the inputs and the outputs go. And then whatever they're good at, give them more of that, and where they're not good at, put it on this guy over here. So you just gotta know that. So you can totally have a coach that, I mean, think about it, executive coach, right? That coaches like CEOs.
Right.
That dude ain't run nothing. And if he does, he doesn't run the hotel or the apparel company. He's probably run a daycare or something, right? But how is he able to go across multiple industries and coach executive coaches when they're totally different things?
That makes good sense, man. I never, you've kind of opened my eyes a little bit because I'm old school. I was coached by an old school coach, like Bill Belichick type guy for 12 years. And he's like, you have to lead by example. You have to be a player coach like Steve Kerr. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Totally makes sense. But then I sit here and I listen to you and I'm like, dude, you're exactly right. Like, look at some of these NFL coaches. And I've also been like intimately involved in processes that I don't know like the back of my hand, but I know I could coach through it. Like, building our last house was a massive project. Building this pool, I see how they do it. Like, I take notes, the GC, the contacts, we make friends with them. I save them in my Rolodex. I'm like, I could manage a job site, you know, even though I don't know how to like build a house from a ground up.
You can manage the site. And it does help if you have the experience, if you're it helps, right? But you don't have to be the best. I mean, you know the saying, like the best player doesn't always make the best coach, right? Because that person can't. I look at some of these coaches like, how come that guy doesn't have a head coaching job? It's because, well, he doesn't play well with others. Right. And you can't, and as a coach, and if you're coaching the team, like you have to have vision. You have to have insight to know, like, when you're saying, you got to be able to look out in the crowd and when you're speaking to see who is going, man, this guy. And you got to figure out who is with you and who's not. Right. And then you got to figure out how to get to that person that isn't with you, how to bring them along.
Right.
Or, you know, you got to help them out.
Right.
Or you got to help them out. So it's one way or another, you know? So, so you just got to be aware of, you know, the people aspect of it. You know what I mean? So even from the coaching side, is like you got to know when to push, and then we'll know when you got to kind of back. Because it's just like your kids, right? You can't, like, all your kids are motivated by different things. Right?
Yep.
So you can't like treat this one this way because you're not going to get the same result.
Absolutely.
So you got to be mindful as a coach, like, okay, I can coach this person this way. Because I see these coaches, as long as they're producing results and they can point to that, then they're successful, right?
Right. Correct. So your kids they're both in college, right?
Well, two of them
are.
Half of them are in college.
You have two more going to college?
I have two. I have one that's 16.
Yep.
Got the long jump region championship today. And then we got a 14-year-old son too.
And they all went to Ensworth?
Yes. I have two that graduated from Ensworth. And then one. So my son was the class president of 2020. My daughter was the vice president in 21.
No way.
My daughter just Friday was elected the junior class president. So no pressure on Gage, my youngest. No pressure, son. Gage. No pressure. No pressure.
So is Gage going to play football?
Gage is playing football.
Okay, nice. I think I know the head coach. I think he's a client of mine.
Yeah.
I forgot what his name is. Really, really nice guy over there. But so Jay Cutler is going to be coaching Franklin Road Academy.
Yeah.
And can he take Ensworth? Do they play?
Well, we got Tim Hasselbeck on our side over here now.
Okay.
I don't think we're going to play FRA this year, though.
Okay.
I don't think so. Yeah.
Could the senior boys at Ensworth take the freshman boys at TSU?
I don't know, man. Here's the thing. Whenever you have like, whenever you know your so it's just like with like college and like the pros.
You're non-committal. You're like no.
No. Here's the thing, man. Here's what I had to think about it out loud. So the thing is, man, it's like when they say like the best college team can beat the worst pro team.
Yeah.
Nah, man. Look, when you know that you have like you're basically in a clown situation.
Right. Yeah.
It is. They're going to bring. Like, we're not going to let this happen.
Right.
So they're bringing all kinds of A.
That's true.
So there's another level of we're not going to let this happen that comes out when you know.
Yeah, I saw your shirt. You know, you got your brand Gerrard, which I really, really like because it's simple, it's clean, and like, what do you think the role of branding, is going to be in real estate moving forward? What's the importance of it?
I think that, you got to have a brand that stands out, and you basically have to have something that, because somebody can recognize, because in my opinion, going forward, that whoever is listing property and whoever's out there is going to be one that you could point to and say, hey, look, this is why we command what we command for our services. And, this is somebody we want to work with because we worked in these areas, and here's what we, here's our brand, and here's what we stand by. So I think
what's interesting about a brand is like you see the names and like you can change it and you could put that name on anything else and be like, this is what this is called. Right. Mm-hmm. But what I've learned about brand is I like really, I stressed out about it for so long. I was trying to force it. And then my brand Cap just kind of came because that's what they've always called me. But a brand really becomes who you are, like what you're about. So, what do you want Gerrard like to stand for, with people when they think of you and think of your team?
Just clean, high quality service.
Yeah.
Do what we say we're going to do, and just professionalism. That's really it. It's just come in, be professional, no matter what it's going to be, right?
Yep.
Whether it be real estate, and because like I said, I've only been doing this for X amount of years, right?
Right.
So it's something that can transcend across different things, right? So I kind of do some, like I said, industrial stuff, some residential stuff. So that way, it's just clean cut. This is what it's going to be. We're going to offer the highest level of service, and then support them how I can. So
I like it. I think that we're moving into an age of where people want to get away from complexity. And they want to be able to say, hey, I see this person, they're present, they're clean cut, they're professionals. I feel comfortable asking them a question. That's where it begins. And that's why our marketing, digital, social, email marketing is so important, because we got to show people that we're making ourselves available to answer these questions they have, because they're evolving so rapidly.
Yeah.
So what's next in your real estate business? What's the next level? Like, where are you going? What are you trying to build?
Next level is probably, scale as we go, right? So there's not right now I just got to eat the frog that's in front of me, right?
Yeah.
And that's basically grow this team, get the team, grow their net worth, right?
Yep.
And then that way everybody's happy. So my thing is like, I'm not, somebody, what they say, remember the 5-year plan and 3-year plan? Here's the thing, man. 5 years ago, I wasn't even thinking about this.
Yeah.
5 years before that, I was living in Baltimore.
It changes so fast.
It changes
especially
so
if you're an
fast.
entrepreneur.
Yeah. So you just got to kind of go where the wind takes you and kind of figure out what's, you got to navigate the path. So right now it's just focus on what I have, get these kids situated where they need to go, help my team grow, and whatever their goals are with their personal goals, help them meet those. And then the big goal gets met because everybody takes care of themselves. So right now it's really just, list and sell, help people out, and get my kids through college, and that's about it,
And you'll decide what that next phase is, right?
Who knows what it's going to be, So for me, it's just take one day at a time.
Where can people, what's your Instagram handle?
Gerrard Bullock, my name.
Okay.
Bullock Gerrard, actually. It's backwards, yeah, so take a look at me there. I try to keep it, we talk real estate on there, but also my wife and I were talking leadership management principles.
Yeah, I like that. That was cool.
Yeah, we try to keep that on there because I do some speaking engagements from time to time too. So it's really big on, like I said, it's on bad bosses is what a lot of it comes out of. So.
Well, I want to just tell you one thing I've observed about you is you're intentional and you're obviously a leader. I would just really encourage you that a part of your brand is leadership through the real estate transaction.
Sure.
I think that leadership is kind of weak in the real estate and mortgage related field right now. And a lot of people want to be able to stand behind someone that says this guy is confident, knows what he's talking about, his teammates, been diligent in their follow-up. So I really, really appreciate you coming out to here
Thanks
today.
for having me.
We'll put all of his social media handles below. Give Gerrard a follow. He's a great father. He's a great leader. Keep, pushing out that leadership stuff. People want to, turn to that. So appreciate you coming over here to the studio.
No, thank you.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
You guys give him a follow. Give him a few comments below, and we'll see you on the flip side. Take care.